Namaste. This is Yoga Therapy Podcast, and I'm your host, Shira Cohen, yoga teacher, yoga therapist, and Ayurvedic wellness educator. In these conversations with experts in the field of yoga therapy, you'll find out what it is and how it can help you and your loved ones to reclaim well-being. We'll touch on physical as well as mental health, physiology, emotions, women's health, spiritual well-being, goddesses, and self-development in the fullest sense. Listening to another story can change ours, so thank you for showing up, and let's begin this journey together. Hey, so hello everyone. Today we are joined by this beautiful, wonderful woman, Jeanette Sealy. She is a certified yoga therapist, massage therapist, and has more than 20 years in healthcare, working with older people. Is that right?
Yes,
okay.
Mostly.
Yes, mostly. Okay. So welcome and thank you for being here. I'm very honored.
Thank you, Shira. It's such a pleasure to be here and have this time with you. Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us how you got to yoga and how yoga became yoga therapy and just your journey.
Sure, I'm happy to. I began in a gym, like a lot of people, where yoga was just a physical practice at first. It was like my days off from working out hard were this yoga stretching thing. And I was in my early 20s. And I was living in Italy, and it was just the most magical time. Yoga wasn't even a popular thing back then. We barely had the internet, so it was just this random, beautiful chance experience that I was introduced to it. And, like anything else, it took me a little while to realize that it had a spiritual component.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't practice yoga regularly and not come to that realization.
Yeah.
Because it just starts to change you.
Yeah. It just
in. It does. It really does. As you know, you become more aware of everything, of your body, of your emotions, of your inner space. And that translates, hopefully, to your outer world and your relationships and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So I practiced for a very long time like that. When I had my first daughter, it became a much more spiritual practice. It was another step or another level, right? Where there was this embodiment of form that was so apparent, and that this practice was supporting me as a new mom. It was something that I fell in love with.
Mm-hmm.
And fast forward, I'm still practicing, still loving it, but had no intention of being a teacher or anything like that. And then I had a really bad knee injury, an ACL rupture, and long recovery process, which totally disrupted my yoga practice. I couldn't practice anymore the way that I'd known how. And at that point, I sought out a yoga therapy teacher. Yes, and because I knew that there was more to the practice than I was an Ashtanga practitioner.
Okay,
so
that explains
there was more than the asana and the physical gymnastics,
yeah,
if you will.
Yeah.
And when I found her, my main teacher, Sudha, now Swamini Shraddhananda Saraswati, and she totally transformed my view of yoga and taught me yoga therapy. And I ended up training with her for 10 years. And I was simultaneously single mothering and working in the nursing homes. And I started to take what I was learning and teach in the nursing homes. And
wow. Excellent.
Yes.
How beautiful. So it was very organic.
It was. Yeah, as it is for so many of us. Right?
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Yeah.
And I just realized the healing potential of the practice. Once I began to utilize it as a therapeutic tool, it transformed me in even more ways. Just my relationship with the loss of independence that I had experienced because of the knee injury.
Okay.
And yes, and then transformed my relationship with my kids. It made me so much more patient and so much more.
I recognize that.
Yeah. And the self-compassion when the times where I wasn't so patient came in too.
That's
Because
also
as moms,
important.
we beat ourselves up, but yoga teaches self-compassion so we can come home to ourselves and forgive ourselves. And in that forgiveness, really also repair the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Thank you for touching on that, because that's one thing I've struggled with a long time, was the guilt you have, especially as a single mom. I think you're always trying to compensate for that parent missing, and you overdo by trying to be different roles. Yeah.
Yes.
And then you have a lot of guilt, and then you just end up breaking out and being angry or frustrated or irritated. and then you feel bad about it. Yeah. I also noticed the more you go into this yoga therapy, the more you become kind to yourself and therefore to others. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was how I found yoga therapy, and it's an ongoing journey. I feel like it's going to be my whole life is going to be spent exploring this, because many lifetimes, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yes, so vast and so beautiful. And once you see these results within yourself, you get to share it and see these kinds of results within your clients and your students. And it's one of the most beneficial things that we can do for ourselves. I heard it called recently a disruptive technology.
Okay. Yeah, definitely in this society.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice. Who called it that?
It was my Vedic astrologer.
Okay.
I have a Jyotish astrologer, and he called yoga a disruptive technology, which I absolutely love. I see it. I saw it in the nursing homes, how it disrupts our patterns of thinking and can set us on a new path.
And what did you use with this population? More breathing, or also the forms, the postures?
A little of both. A lot of breathing. It depended on what stage the individual is in when they're approaching the end of life, but definitely the 8 limbs came into play. All 8 limbs where we're utilizing the philosophy and kind of the ethical standards of living, and then we tune into the presence with our breath and our bodies and what they still can do instead of what abilities we may have lost. So focusing from a strength.
I saw that in your article, and I found that very important. Finding what works and then letting that grow again, because they can grow in certain areas even at that age.
Absolutely. I taught pranayam and yoga nidra at Deborah Heart and Lung Center, which is an open heart surgery center, and people would come right out of heart week and teach them yoga therapy. And it would be so funny, almost comical in a sense, because we would always ask permission. It was an internship. And so when I would walk into the room and introduce myself, I would ask permission. Would you like to practice some yoga today with me? 100% of the time they're like, are you crazy? Like, I can't practice yoga. I just had open heart surgery. Because everyone has this impression that yoga is
your toes.
Very physical. And I said, well, if you just want to lie there and breathe and listen to a guided, practice, it might help you feel a little better. And we'd check in with their pain level before and after, and it would be profound, the shifts that could occur. And usually the sessions were 20 to 30 minutes.
Wow.
And that was just guided pranayama and yoga nidra. So everything.
How did you, can I just break in? How did you get that work?
It was part of my yoga therapy training program.
Oh, wow.
Right. Okay. But also from 20 years in the health and wellness healthcare industry, I have a lot of connections with hospitals and administrators of nursing homes and elder care centers. So, it's beautiful. I'm able to get a lot of that work, and then also to help other yoga teachers get a lot of that work.
Oh, wonderful.
Needed in those environments.
Yes. Definitely. In many environments.
All of them, right?
Okay. Okay. So tell us how it affects when you work with yoga therapy. How does it affect these older people? Because I read in the article there's a lot of dementia and just tell us how it affects the well-being and the emotions of these people.
Yes, it's beautiful. Honestly, there's a general belief that once someone has dementia or at the later stages of the disease when they're in a care center or they require 24-hour care, that there's a huge focus on what they've lost. And I already touched on that, but yoga changes the focus from what you've lost to what you have and to what is always present and to what is eternal. Which is this kind of idea that we are whole and complete and perfect. Essentially, our essential nature. Is that. So, right?
Yeah.
So through the practice of just presence and in teaching yoga with people with dementia, that can look like singing familiar songs. And through that singing, they're actually lengthening their exhale, they're toning their nervous system, they're finding some activation of parasympathetic state or that calm rest and repair state.
So great.
So oftentimes,
and so fun.
Great. And so fun and so simple. We just sing. So generally that would be a beginning. And that would tap into memory as well. And emotion, because the memory that comes along with music and song is very long term. Even after people lose the ability to speak, they'll retain the ability to sing.
Wow. Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
Wow.
It's fascinating.
Yes. And do you think that is because of emotion?
I think it's just a different part of the brain. So Broca's area is the area of the brain that's associated with language. And in Alzheimer's disease, Alzheimer's type dementia, this is an area that's early on affected by the neurofibrillary plaques and tangles that occur. With music, it's other parts of the brain.
Ah, wow. Okay.
So, right. So it's really fascinating that they'll retain like rote response techniques like, hello, how are you? Hello, I'm fine, or whatever. They'll retain things like that we do over and over again. But a song that they sang a lot, like the happy birthday song, or something that is very familiar to them, they can sing from start to finish up until very, very late in the game.
Wow.
And it's beyond fascinating. There's a lot of research on this. There's a documentary that's absolutely beautiful called Alive Inside.
Oh, wow.
About how Alive Inside, how music activates long-term memory and emotion and joy. And to me, that's the way I would begin all of the yoga practices with people with dementia and Alzheimer's disease, because it drops them in to the present moment and it wakes them up a little bit. And then they can become aware of their breath. And then they can do, some of the simple movements or asana, just working on restoring circulation and prana to parts of the body where it might have become stagnant. Working with the nervous system. Yeah.
Wow. I can imagine that's very effective. I can just see it, and they're singing, and that brings up this life energy, and that wakes them up, and that makes them want to move because they're present. Yeah. Wonderful.
So many times nurses would come in after a session and they would be like, what did you do to them?
Magic.
Everybody would be calm and relaxed. They would eat better and sleep better, and it's just such a gift to give, and then to teach people how to do it as well is just another layer. So
So tell me about, do you mix your massage therapy into your yoga therapy, especially when you're working with this older population? Yeah,
I do. I do. I have, I work with three different stages of life,
Mm-hmm.
the end of life, the beginning of life, and sort of the liminal spaces in between.
Mm-hmm.
And if someone wants touch and enjoys touch, I will totally utilize it. My work is very consent-based and trauma-informed, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
really clear to gain enthusiastic consent for any kind of touch and make it also very okay and acceptable and perfect if you don't want touch today.
Of course, yeah.
So when someone comes to me for yoga therapy, touch is an option. And when someone comes to me for a massage therapy, yoga is an option.
Of course.
But they're always getting a little bit of yoga, kind of, no matter what.
Well, yeah, I think it's normal, especially the breath. I think it's so essential to have that, even when you're massaging someone. I just wanted to ask, how do you think touch enhances healing? Because I've been reading up about it, and it seems very effective to help people move out of that sympathetic nervous system, bring on the hormones that bring healing and connection and bonding. Could you explain that a little?
So much.
Yeah.
So much. Yes. Thank you. That's a beautiful question. So the massage that I do mostly, I do Thai yoga massage. So it occurs on the floor, on a mat, fully clothed, and it's a moving meditation. So I approach it meditating on loving kindness for the other. So a metta meditation. And in this metta meditation, there's an outpouring of motherly love that you're offering to the person you're working with. And that's where I'll begin, because I think that's what people feel the most. They just kind of feel held and cared for. And Thai massage includes a lot of rocking. So there's also that gentle, soothing safety for the nervous system with rocking, because when we're in danger, when we're in fight or flight mode, we're not rocking. We're not moving side to side. We're moving linearly. We're going forward. We're running away. We're not rocking paralyzed. Side to side. So that motion in general is just a really beautiful way to engender safety in the nervous system. And when that starts to happen, the body starts to relax, because we're all familiar, whether we have a strong yoga practice or not, I think, with tension patterns, whether we clench our jaw, grind our teeth at night, or have chronic shoulder and upper back tension or low back pain. A lot of these challenges and a lot of pain is caused by patterns of tension. So how are we holding and storing emotions in the body really comes into play. And when you work with a mechanical practice like massage, you're facilitating the release of that emotion. You're facilitating kind of the softening of the tissues, the release of any kind of stored or stuck emotion. You know, we're utilizing breath and movement to increase circulation and oxygenation of the cells.
So the physiology is being affected.
Your physiology, your cells are being affected, your nervous system is being affected, like every aspect of yourself. And in Thai massage, it's a deeply spiritual practice. You're actually working with the person's karma and their cycles of birth and rebirth as well.
Oh, wow.
So, there's a lot of beauty in the practice. There's just also this neuromuscular confusion. People might not even know that they're holding tension until you bring them to a place where they release it, and then it's like, haha.
I used to do it all the time in the beginning when I was first teaching. I used to go around to every student at the end of the class and ask them, of course, can I shake your body out? And then I would gently shake their legs and then their arms. And I would ask them, when I lifted them up, can you just let go? And they said, I have let go. And their arm was very stiff. And they're still holding on. They try to help you. I was like, no, I can hold your arm. Just let go. And then they would. And they were like, oh, okay.
Exactly. Isn't it amazing?
Mm.
Right. And that developing of a person's interoception
Mm.
or their ability to sense what's happening in their inner world is just another step in being able to empower people in their own healing journey.
Yeah. 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 Helping them to connect to their body and understand they have self-agency once you relate to yourself.
Exactly.
Mm. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So you also work with trauma for women or women with trauma. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That found me.
Okay.
I mean,
Beautiful.
like a lot of things, it was in my own history, I've dealt with healing trauma. And then I started noticing that I wasn't putting it out there or talking about it in any way, shape, or form, but working with private clients, I would often receive women into my space who were dealing with very similar things that I had dealt with, whether it's loss and grief or just lacking body sovereignty and sort of relearning how to engage in a sense of agency and loss of a child, whether through miscarriage or infertility challenges. And there was just a lot of women coming to me looking for that kind of body work. And so I was like, okay, I need to learn a lot more about this. So I decided to dive in, and I've studied with David Troy-Levin, trauma sensitive mindfulness, and Peter Levine in somatic experiencing. I'm not yet a somatic experiencing practitioner, but his work is brilliant and I'm in it. And then, of course, Stephen Porges with polyvagal theory. So just kind of opening up. Oh, I did a mindful yoga therapy training for veterans because I'm a veteran, and a lot of the women that were coming to me were veterans. And so the work found me and just brought the spark alive, the realization too that I don't think there's a person that gets through life without experiencing trauma. And I began to link a lot of the elder care and death work I had done, where people were having an incredibly challenging experience that was filled with suffering, with unresolved life experiences. And I began to note, through the work in yoga, the people who were able to meet the end of their lives with a level of grace had they had resolved what they needed to resolve. And, I could say almost 100% of the time, there was a sense of resolution. And that's why they were able to let go, to surrender, to be where they were with ease. And I thought to myself, well, I love working with people at the end of life, but if I can help people do that at 20 years old,
it's even better. Yeah.
Even better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Otherwise people are just walking around with pain and
exactly. And dying with pain, living with pain and dying with pain. And
then
I really
they're afraid of
called
death.
to make a difference.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I used to travel a lot, and I noticed that if I left a place and I'd had an unresolved issue with someone, then it was difficult to leave that place.
Yes.
And if obviously things always go wrong, but you make up with the person or you make right the situation, then I always left with joy. So for me, it's always important, no matter how wrong things go, to resolve as quick as possible, because otherwise you just end up walking around with that pain and uncertainty.
Yes, exactly. And depending on what generation you're from or what your culture is like or what your upbringing is, you may not even ever come to conscious realization of the pain and the emotional pain, and it becomes physical as a result. So I had a lot of people. I had Holocaust survivors and war veterans, and like Vietnam War veterans, and in the nursing home experience. So a lot of people with like big T trauma, and you could really see it play out at the end of life. And it was, again, it was like, how much is left unresolved, and what tools are there for our loved ones, our families, and our clients and our friends to help them on their journey, so they can, like you said, gain an experience with openness, so we can resolve it, so we can walk away in the joy that is our birthright.
Yeah, because in the end, ultimately, we all mean well to each other. and we just have conflicting ideas or needs or desires, and that causes issues. But
Yes. So beautiful work.
Yeah. Okay, so these women come to you, and you found that birth, sex, and death are these phases that are important for these women?
Absolutely. Okay. Kind of the themes that recur, where we have the choice, like you said, to have a situation with peace and joy and a sense of resolution, or it can kind of create a wedge or an interjection in our consciousness that is a wound. So birth, there's a lot of birth experiences where women are not cared for after, or the experience itself can be traumatic. So I think a lot of the beauty in caring for women in their postnatal period is something that I would love to see the paradigm shift around, and create space for women to be really tended to.
I read somewhere that in Japan, traditionally, if it's still traditional family, the woman gets looked after for 2 months. It's like, that's how it should be everywhere.
Yes.
By the whole
absolutely.
family. Yeah.
In India, 40 days.
Yeah.
40
days. They make
days,
special food, and they wrap up her lower abdomen with special herbs. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the work I'm doing now.
Yes, with the doula.
The Ayurvedic doula training. Yes. Like, to really properly care for the mama after birth, belly binding, herbal support. It's said that a woman in this phase of her life, she can create longevity and health, or really set herself up for disease, because we can become so depleted after the birth of a child. And if we're in a society where we are expected to just return to normal as quickly as possible, I know I live in a society like that. Get back to work after 6 weeks. Right? Just get your body back as quickly as you can.
Was that your experience? Yeah.
With my daughters, with my first 2 children. My son I had recently, he's only 5, so I knew better.
Okay.
But
finally.
Society didn't. I had to educate people. But when I was a kid and I had kids, I didn't know better. So it was my experience. Really quickly back to work, really quickly expected to perform at the same level I was before.
Wow.
So women need more. A
lot more self-love and just respect and honor from society, because without women, no one would be here.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So we are embracing this rise of the feminine, the sense that we understand what caregiving and tending looks like, where we create circles of support for women so that they don't feel alone and untended to in these tender moments, where if we can come together as community, it will all be better off. We'll raise better children. We'll have better experiences, and we'll live out our lives in ways that are more fulfilling, and then greet the end with more grace.
Yeah. Much more acceptance and wholeness. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. And I saw that you do family retreats, yoga family retreats.
Yes,
so
I
beautiful.
Do. That's a beautiful thing. As a single mom for so long, I'm not now, but I was, and I brought my kids everywhere with me, every yoga training that I went on. I'm sure you can relate. Give them like coloring books or, iPads weren't
Buy them
around then.
special pens.
Let's come, we're going to have an adventure. And they didn't have a whole lot to do. And, I'm immersed in the training. And luckily I had 2 girls so they could play together. But I saw the need. I saw how many moms were struggling too with leaving their kids to come or that mom guilt.
Yes.
Or bringing them and then having nothing for them to do. And so I thought at the time, this is 15 years ago, gosh, I would love it if this was really an invitation for kids to come and enjoy the experience as well. I want to create this. And 12 years later, I ended up doing it. I ended up creating experiences and immersions for people to come to practice yoga, to meditate, to enhance their relationship, and the kids are happy and engaged and part of the whole experience.
How do you do that? That you engage the kids?
We have a childcare center set up wherever we go.
Wow. Yeah.
So we'll hire nannies. Sometimes they're Montessori trained, sometimes they're yoga teachers, but it's a whole program with art and music and nature and yoga for the children. And then some things that the parents and the kids do together, of course.
Yeah.
But this way, the parents can come and drop kids off at the care center and go on to their yoga class and not have to worry about anything.
Yeah, excellent.
And receive a massage. And,
without feeling guilty, which kills the whole thing.
Exactly. And it also gives the families a really nourishing, calm experience as a vacation, a really connected experience. If you think of a regular family vacation, I think sometimes it's more stressful than staying at home because it's a new environment and there can, everybody's eating out all the time and unhealthy food and just this whole experience of like, perhaps we're not all doing it this way, but a lot of the experiences that do happen are sometimes you come home and you're a little more wiped out than you were before you left.
Yes. Yeah, I stopped traveling. I tried the first 5 years to travel with my daughter like I used to. And I figured out very quickly, you go to one place and you stay 3 weeks, and maybe you go to a second place and stay 3 weeks. But in the end, it's like you say, it's better just to stay home and do a little travel, not too far away, and come back within a few weeks.
Right. I felt that too. And I wanted to change that paradigm as well, because I did want to travel. I did want to show my children the world and have them grow up understanding different cultures and experiences. And so I found a beautiful woman. She runs a company called Holy Mama. Holy Mama, and she trains yoga teachers to host family retreats. And she hosts a lot of them herself. So a really beautiful, beautiful gift of a woman. Her name is Claudia. And so if you're looking for a family retreat, you're welcome to come on one of mine. I don't have one in the works because of COVID at the moment, but she does. And she has a lot of resources around this experience, because as she's training women to do this, she gives you all the tools you need. They're happening more and more. Wow. So there's more and more opportunity for parents to go and have this beautiful experience, whether you're a single mother or you're going to a family retreat. Sometimes people bring grandparents. Sometimes people bring a nanny with them, and you just have that kind of really nurturing getaway where you come back and you're rejuvenated, not exhausted.
I think it's also what I saw from your video. It's very much community orientated. So you feel connected not just to your family and partner, but to everyone there. Yes, very beautiful.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It's so needed too. Another level of support.
Yeah.
We don't have to do it alone.
No, I know. I just came to the realization a few years ago. After my burnout, I was like, maybe I should ask people for help and try and figure things out together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It takes us a long time to learn that.
Yes. Very long. Do you want to say anything else? Is there anything you feel like you need to elaborate on? Because now we've touched on trauma, dementia, women, community.
A lot.
Yes, a lot.
It's been such a beautiful and rich conversation. Shira, I love your questions and your presence and your smile. I know your audience won't see the smile because they'll hear the audio, but just know you must be able to hear it. And yeah, that I would just leave with healing is an experience of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that there's an absence of suffering,
Mm-hmm.
but it means that we learn to live in a conscious way with it.
Mm-hmm.
That
That's
yoga is a
beautiful.
beautiful path for that, but it's not the only one. So just knowing that this is the potential and your birthright
Mm.
will hopefully help in some
Yeah.
small way.
Yes, yes. Thank you for that. That's really beautiful. And thank you for the compliments. I really enjoy also having this conversation. So before Jeanette and I started talking, she's just very lovely and present and real and kind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to take us through a practice?
Sure, I would love to. We can do a practice of awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So about 5 minutes or so. Does that sound good?
Fine.
Okay. So please just find a comfortable position in your body. You can feel free to sit up nice and tall, plant your feet on the floor, or feel your sits bones connected with the earth. And if it feels more comfortable, feel free to lie down, maybe in constructive rest pose where you're lying on your back and your feet are on the floor and your knees are pointing towards the sky. Or whatever position you need, just as long as your is relaxed and your spine is long and open. Your eyes can be softly closed or you can gaze down the tip of your nose. And just begin to soften your breath. Notice your natural inhale and exhale without trying to change or control it. And feel your breath rising and falling, filling and emptying. And if at any point your breath doesn't feel like a safe anchor for your attention, feel free to take your awareness outside to something neutral or pleasing in your environment, maybe a plant or a glass of water. There's this sense of your breath, this focal point for your attention. And an awareness of this present moment. Every moment is an eternity. Notice the width and depth and breadth of your. Feel the sensation of earth, the heaviness of your bones, the stability of your muscles. The grounded sensation of being held by the earth beneath you. Gravity drawing you downward and ever so slightly rebounding back upward into your body, supporting you in a way that feels almost buoyant and free. And as the breath moves into the body on the inhale, the diaphragm lowers and the belly expands to make space in the lungs. And as the breath moves out of your body on the exhale, the diaphragm lifts up and the lungs, the diaphragm kind of give the heart a little hug. And just notice, sense, or even imagine this happening as you breathe. The tender and gentle movement of the diaphragm downward on the inhale as the lungs fill, upward on the exhale as the lungs empty. Notice how your whole body just naturally begins to soften and relax with brief attention and focus on the breath. Softening your shoulders, your jaw, your forehead, and even your eyes inside of their sockets relax. Every inhale brings in more peace. Every exhale takes you a little bit deeper into relaxation. Just about 3 more breaths like this, finding a rhythm. Soothing and nourishing your whole body. Your whole body. Your whole body. And perhaps just take your hands to any part of your body that needs a little extra love today. Bow to your heart, your inner teacher. Notice how you feel. Offer a moment of gratitude to your breath, to your beautiful heart, and to your sacred body. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was delicious. Especially those pauses were quite long, and I was like, has the audio gone off? But it was lovely to just actually rest. You know, sometimes I worry too much that people's minds are going off, and so I talk quite quick from one pause to the next. But this is very good.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Yes. Such a beautiful gift to talk with you today, Shira. And to have the opportunity.
Yes, I really enjoyed this.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're a beautiful person. Thank you very
As are
much
you.
for being on. It was really nice to meet you. So we'll say goodbye to our audience. Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful week. Oh, do you want to say anything else? Is there anything else you'd like to leave for people if they want to work with you or find you?
Oh, sure, I'm happy to. And thank you for the opportunity to be here to talk with your audience. And I'm so happy to invite you to check out the links in the show notes. I have a lot of free offerings. Everything that we talked about, yoga for elder care, yoga for people with trauma, yoga for people in pain. And feel free to reach out to me. I do a lot of mentor sessions and one-on-one virtual therapy. So very grateful and very much looking forward to your book.
Me too. It's been a 3-year project. It's like there's moments even now where I think, am I really writing something worth reading?
Oh, yeah.
And I hear this from all writers, so it gives me peace to know it's normal to think like that. Yeah. Okay, we'll end here.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. So thank you everyone for staying to the end of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. I really love doing these talks with these amazing people. And if you want to know more, just take a look in the show notes. There's plenty of links and ways to connect with either the guest or myself. If you want to work with us or find out more about us, just check out the information in the show notes. So I hope you have a wonderful week, and you'll be hearing from me next week.